The day started like any other, a routine I knew all too well. Before I could even take my first sip of coffee, my inbox was already flooded with emails, each one demanding my attention. The phone rang nonstop, employees coming to me with urgent issues, tight deadlines, and last-minute problems that needed immediate resolution. Owning a business meant putting out fires every single day. Clients demanding faster deliveries, suppliers failing to meet expectations, and employees who seemed unable to make even the simplest decisions without my approval. It was exhausting, but this was my life. And despite the stress, I loved what I did. Today felt no different. Or so I thought. By midday, I was buried in back-to-back meetings, trying to finalize an important contract. My assistant entered my office, placing a thick stack of documents in front of me. "These need your signature by the end of the day, sir," she said, offering an apologetic smile. I barely looked up. "Just leave them on my desk. I'll get to them," I muttered. There was hardly time to breathe, let alone deal with more paperwork. My coffee sat untouched on the desk, now cold. Glancing at the clock, 1:42 p.m., I sighed. Still hours to go before I could even think about heading home. Out of habit, I grabbed my phone to check for messages. Nothing out of the ordinary. A few emails. A reminder about an upcoming meeting. Everything seemed normal. Then, a few minutes later, my phone buzzed again. A message from Sophia. At first, I didn't think much of it. Sophia rarely texted me during the day unless it was important. Maybe she needed me to pick up something on my way home. Maybe something happened with the house or her car. Or maybe she just wanted to check in. But the moment I opened the message, my stomach tightened. Asterisk, I can't touch you. I can't kiss you. I don't feel anything anymore. Asterisk, the word stared back at me. Cold and final. I blinked, rereading them once. Twice. A third time. My breathing slowed, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. What the hell was this? I sat back in my chair, suddenly lightheaded. The office, the work, the constant noise outside. It all faded into the background. The only thing that existed in that moment was that message. My mind raced. Was this a joke? Was she upset about something? Where was this even coming from? We had been together for years. Of course, marriage wasn't always perfect. We had our ups and downs like any couple. But never had she said something like this before. I stared at my phone, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. I wanted to reply, to demand an explanation, to ask her what the hell she meant. But for some reason, my hands wouldn't move. Something inside me whispered that this wasn't a mistake. She had sent this on purpose. And what unsettled me the most was the way she said it. She wasn't angry. She wasn't apologizing. She wasn't explaining. She was just stating a fact. And that made my stomach turn. "Sir, are you okay?" My assistant's voice pulled me back to reality. I looked up, realizing I had been staring at my phone for too long. The office was still buzzing. Phones ringing, people talking, keyboards clicking. But I felt like I was in another world now. I forced a breath, straightening in my chair. Yeah, I'm fine. But I wasn't. I was anything but fine. I tried to go back to work. Contracts, meetings, clients. But the entire time, my mind was somewhere else. Somewhere darker. A place filled with questions I didn't want to answer. How long had she felt this way? Had it been sudden, or had I been too blind to see the signs? Had she already checked out of our marriage while I was still here, thinking we were okay? Or worse, was there someone else? That thought made my stomach twist painfully. By 4 p.m., I couldn't take it anymore. I shut my laptop, grabbed my jacket, and walked out. "Sir, you have a meeting at 5. My assistant called after me." "Cancel it," I said, already heading for the door. I needed to go home. I needed to see her. I needed answers. The drive home felt longer than ever. Every red light made me grip the steering wheel harder. Every slow-moving car in front of me made me want to slam my horn. My mind replayed her message on an endless loop. Asterisk, I can't touch you. I can't kiss you. I don't feel anything anymore. Asterisk, the words cut through me like a knife, and the wound was still bleeding. Had she already moved on in her mind? Had she been waiting for the right moment to tell me? Or had she already found someone else? The thought made my grip on the wheel tighten until my knuckles turned white. When I finally pulled into the driveway, I sat there for a moment, trying to steady my breathing. From the outside, the house looked the same, calm, familiar, but I knew that was a lie. Everything had already changed. I stepped out of the car, my heart hammering in my chest. The second I opened the front door, silence greeted me. No warm welcome, no sound of the TV, no smell of dinner cooking, just emptiness. I stepped inside and shut the door behind me. "Sophia?" My voice was tight. No answer. I walked through the house, my footsteps echoing in the quiet. Then, in the living room, I found her sitting on the couch. She sat on the couch, scrolling through her phone as if nothing had happened, as if she hadn't just shattered my entire reality with a single text. The casual way her fingers moved across the screen, the slight furrow in her brow as if she were concentrating on something trivial. It all made my blood boil. She didn't even look up when I walked into the room, didn't acknowledge my presence at all. That, more than anything, told me everything I needed to know. I stood there, my chest tight with anger, the words heavy on my tongue. Finally, I forced them out. "Are you going to explain that text, or do I have to pretend I didn't read it?" My voice was sharp, cutting through the tense silence between us. Sophia finally looked up, slow and deliberate, her expression unreadable. There was no panic, no guilt, just an eerie calm that made my stomach turn. She set her phone down, folded her hands neatly in her lap, and said, "I don't know what you want me to say." A bitter laugh escaped my lips. "Maybe start with why the hell you thought sending me something like that over text was a good idea." My voice rose slightly, the frustration boiling over. She sighed, a long, drawn-out sound, like I was nothing more than an inconvenience to her. "I wasn't trying to hurt you," she said, her tone flat, devoid of emotion. I didn't know how else to say it." I let out another humorless chuckle, shaking my head. "You didn't know how else to say it?" "Maybe I don't know to my face, like an adult." Her expression remained unchanged, no remorse, no sadness, just emptiness. And that hit harder than any cruel words she could have thrown at me. I swallowed against a lump in my throat, my voice quieter now. "How long?" She frowned. "How long what? How long have you felt this way?" For the first time, she hesitated. She looked away, pressing her lips together, and that silence told me everything. It hadn't been a recent change. This wasn't some fleeting doubt. She had been feeling this way for a long time, maybe months, maybe years, and she never said a word. So all this time, I murmured, shaking my head in disbelief, "You've just been going through the motions? Pretending?" Lying to my face. "I wasn't pretending," she muttered. "I just thought it would pass." "Thought it would pass?" My voice rose again, incredulous. "Do you even hear yourself? You checked out of our marriage, and instead of talking to me, instead of telling me what you were feeling, you just... What? Waited to see if your love for me would come back." She shrugged, like this wasn't the end of everything we had built. Like she wasn't casually ripping apart years of my life. I took a slow, shaky breath, forcing myself to say it out loud. "You don't love me anymore." It wasn't a question. She inhaled deeply, rubbing her hands together, and then with the final blow, she said, "I don't know if I ever really did." The world around me blurred, my ears ringing with a silence so deafening it felt like a physical weight pressing against my chest. For years, I had believed we were in love. I had thought, no matter how hard things got, there was something real between us. But now I realized it had all been a lie. I had been fighting for something that never even existed. And in that moment, something inside me changed. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't beg for an explanation that no longer mattered. Instead, I felt nothing, numb. There was no point in arguing, no point in trying to fix something that had never been real in the first place. But I wasn't just going to walk away quietly. No. If Sophia wanted to throw away our marriage like it meant nothing, then I would make sure she walked away with nothing, too. I knew my rights. We lived in Florida, a state with equitable distribution divorce laws. That meant assets weren't automatically split 50-50. Everything would be divided fairly, but not necessarily equally. And in our case, the cards were stacked in my favor. The house? Mine. Purchased before we got married, solely in my name. My business? Founded before the marriage. No shared ownership. My car, my savings, my investments, everything significant was under my name. Sophia wasn't entitled to half of anything, but that didn't mean she wouldn't try. So that night, after she went to bed, I did what any smart man would do. I called my lawyer. By morning, I had a plan. I wasn't just going to leave her. I was going to make her regret ever wasting my time. I met with my attorney, a top-tier divorce lawyer who specialized in protecting men from being taken advantage of. I laid everything out, the text, the conversation, her admission that she had never loved me. "Do you think she'll fight you on a divorce?" My lawyer asked. I almost laughed. "She doesn't even care enough to fight." He nodded, flipping through the paperwork. "Good. That makes this easier." We filed immediately. Sophia expected me to stay. Even after telling me she didn't love me, she acted like nothing had changed, like I would keep paying the bills, supported her lifestyle, pretending we were still something worth saving. She had no idea what was coming. I waited for the perfect moment. A few weeks later, when she left for the weekend to visit friends in Miami, I packed my things and left. I took everything that was mine, my clothes, my electronics, valuables, important documents, even small things she wouldn't notice right away, just to make it harder for her. Then I shut down every financial tie she had to me. The credit card she used? Canceled. Joint accounts? Closed. Her access to my health insurance? Revoked. Utilities? Remove her name. By the time she got home, the house was empty, except for one thing, a manila envelope sitting on the kitchen counter. Inside, divorce papers. That night, my phone rang. Sophia's name flashed on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. "Daniel, what the hell is this? You just left? You actually got a lawyer? What is wrong with you?" She was panicking. She hadn't expected me to be serious. She thought I'd keep playing the fool, keep taking care of her, keep pretending everything was fine. I sent one final text. Asterisk, you said you didn't love me. So now, you don't have to pretend anymore. Asterisk, no arguments. No back and forth. Just cold, final silence. When she realized I wasn't coming back, she tried to be smart. She hired a divorce lawyer, hoping to squeeze money out of me. But she had no case. No joint assets. No shared property. No legal grounds for spousal support. Her lawyer must have broken the news, because soon enough, she stopped trying. She signed the divorce papers and walked away with nothing. The best revenge isn't anger. It isn't getting even. It's moving on. And that's exactly what I did. I focused on my business. I built my wealth even more. I got in the best shape of my life. I traveled, met new people, started truly living for myself. Sophia? I didn't hear from her for months. Until one day, out of nowhere, she texted me. Asterisk, hey, I've been thinking about you. Can we talk? Asterisk. I laughed. I knew exactly what that meant. She had realized what she lost. She thought she could come back. She thought I'd be waiting. But I wasn't. I never replied. Because Sophia was just a bad decision I erased from my life. And now I was finally free.